Good evening and welcome to episode 74 of the Town Social on a weekend where the Terriers came from behind to win for the first time this season. 4,502 Town fans made the short trip over to Oakwell, hoping and praying that we would see a much improved performance. We haven't managed to win at Oakwell since the 10th of November 2012. And at half-time, it looked like that was set to continue, didn't it? After a truly abysmal showing culminating in the tortoise himself, John Russell, scoring the opener. But the introduction of super Josh Koroma at half-time helped turn the tide, and he latched on to Sorensen's beauty of the pass to slot calmly past the keeper and shock us all. Watch actually a decent bit of counter-attacking football. We barely stopped rubbing our eyes in disbelief as Ben Wiles made it 2 with a free kick that somehow sneaked its way into the bottom corner, sending the away end into raptures. A much-needed 3 points for Town then. Last time we beat Barnsley, it sparked our 16-game unbeaten run, didn't it? So could this be the game that turns the tide this season, or is it just another false dawn? I'll be your host this evening, Nick Barlow, and joining me this evening, as ever, is Mr. Gaz K, Andy K, and to mark this prestigious occasion, a debutant, Stephen Shepherd. How are you doing, gents? Thanks for joining us. Steve, great to have you on, mate. If you want to be like Steve, join the pod, by all means. Send us a DM on X and we'll get you on, have your say. But get your comments in as well, guys, on YouTube. If you'd be so kind as to subscribe on YouTube and Spotify, it helps the pod massively. So let's get your comments in. But lads, let's get straight down to business. I think people use the old cliche game of two halves a lot, don't they? But I think no word was truer said about yesterday's game, wasn't it? I think the first half, Gaz, you went to the game, mate. As that first half was as poor a performance as I've seen all season, wasn't it? What were you thinking after that first half, mate?
Well, it started off really scrappy, didn't it? The thing is, I was saying, at half time, if we hadn't let that goal, by the way, was absolutely disgusting. I know we'll come to that in a minute, but I was raging at that goal. But actually, if we hadn't conceded the goal and if we'd gone in at 0-0, you'd have said, well, we probably created the better chances in the half, which we did, and I thought Chirua was a real bright spot. He was probably, I noticed, but as he went off last, he was the only one that got any applause, God love him. So, I thought he caused him a few problems. He didn't really know what to do with him. And I think if we hadn't let in such a shite goal, you'd have probably said, all right, that's not great, but we created the better chances. And you take that in the second and try and win the game. But, I mean, the goal summed it up, really. It framed the first 15 minutes, and all we kept doing was giving the ball away. I've never seen as many turnovers of possession in a centre midfield as I did in that first 15 minutes. It was crap, really. Kane and Kasuma were both guilty of it, and then every time it got to a full-back, all they proceeded to do was stick it long, so their 6'7" centre-half could just jump. Well, they didn't even have to jump, did they? He was just heading it away off top of Marshall and Charles, and it was really crap. And it was summed up by the goal, really. I think it reminded me a bit of the Northampton one where I lost my rag, where it was just mistake after mistake. Kasuma and Marshall sort of ran into each other, tripped each other up. And then, Russell picks the ball halfway in his half. And as you said, he's hardly lightning, is it? Like lumbered halfway, 2/3 of the pitch. Nobody closed him down. Balker thought, well, perhaps I ought to go and close him down. So he didn't really. He just sort of made a move towards him. So he shifted onto his right. Kane then went across, sort of did half a tackle, and then thought, oh, shit, I ain't done enough here. So jumped in. And then it's in for the deflection. If you watch from behind the goal with the replay, Tom Lee somehow gets thinner. The ball goes towards, he actually breathes in. I've never seen that. He breathes in. So it goes around the edge of Lee's and Nichols. I mean, what were Nichols doing? I mean, how does a ball, a shot like that, not that much pace? I know it takes a deflection. It's right in the middle of the goal. So, that were enough for me at that point. I were proper boiling. And I couldn't really take them much. I think somebody just, Feathers are saying, first half on that bad. And it won. But the problem is when you play like we did in the first 15 minutes, you're always going to be up against it. And after the goal, that's when he got really spiky in the crowd. I think they had a shot after about 20 minutes that Lees and Spencer, collided with each other, didn't they, go in for a ball? And he just brought to their man who lashed it over the bar. At that point, then the booing were already starting in the crowd on it after 20 minutes. And he just seemed to go downhill there in first half, didn't it? I think it was he was a piss poor first 45 all round.
And 4-2-3-1 formation, you know, Duffy, he had been rigid to the 3-5-2, and Coles, obviously it wasn't really working. He has changed things, and it's been sort of fluid in game. 4-4-2, 4-3-3. He keeps talking about, doesn't he, interchanging in different passages of play depending on whether we have the ball or not. Are you seeing a difference with this new formation in the way that we're playing? To me, that first half in particular looked pretty laboured, and it looked same old problems to me. I don't know what is our best formation at the moment, because to me we look no different.
I couldn't tell what we were playing for start. But first 15 minutes, it looked like we decided we were just going to oof it. I got told off by my missus for asking for them to effing pass the ball quite loudly with a lot of children around us in the crowd. So apologies if you were near because it would just let's oof it. So it didn't matter what we were playing there, 4-2-3-1 or 4-4-2, 4-3-3, whatever it was. We just seemed disorganised, and it seemed to me they can't have been doing what Duff had told them to do, because there's no way on this earth, as he said on his post-match comments, that he told them to hoof the ball up to our 5'6" strikers when they've been marked by some 6'5" lads at the back for them. So why were they choosing to do that? What had happened? I thought Barnsley looked dangerous on the break. There was one bit where Tommy Lee's got sent shops, as my son would say. So he's gone one way, and then Kid's gone another way, and had a shot. And to be honest, I thought he was going to score. I don't know the name. It might have been Keeler Dunn that got the shot off first half. But we just looked absolutely bang average. And even then, Dion Charles breaks away, and you're thinking, oh, finally it's going to happen for him. And he has the touch that Gaz has seen me come up with on many a Saturday morning for the Net Terriers, something like just inadvertently hoofing it 5 yards forward. When all he had to do was just control it and then slot it in. I think that the bright spot was Tuanda. I think he was really, really, really good. I loved some of the flair stuff, the flick over the lad's head that he did, down in the far corner. Would have sent the Barnsley Bobs mad down that end. They don't like any flair in Tarn, as I well know, having lived here for 18 years. None of this flair business. But yeah, we just. I think I don't know where I've seen the video from. It might have been from our friends at Any Takes That Chance. But there's this video of resembling a steamroller just slowly rolling through the midfield, which is what he looked like, just really slowly rolling down the middle of the pitch, and then eventually scored. And we just stood there waiting for him to run us over. Nobody stepped out. It was like, well, let him get to 18-yard area. He can shoot from here. And then lo and behold, as you say, he clips one off Lee's and it goes in. So it was just, God forbid what we'll do to a team when we can actually put 2 45-minute halves together, because somebody's in the line for a bit of a beating. But it just seems to me that they either need adversity to pull themselves out, or if they start well and have a good first half, they just think, oh, it'll naturally happen and carry on second half. So he talks about having sorted out the mentality. Not for me. Still weak for me mentally. Sorry, lads.
It's weird, isn't it? Because it's the first time we've come back to win from behind, which is a massive positive. So there's obviously some belief there, because it does take a crowd on the backs away from home in a derby to turn it round is good going. But I don't understand these first half performances. It happens too many times when we do not turn up for a first half. And if you're playing an half decent side, the gate is dead and buried before half time. And we can't do that. We can't do that. We're just throwing too many points away by not turning up in the first half. And we were lucky yesterday. Again, we could have easily been two down in that half. Steve, I'm going to... I don't normally pick players out, but there are a few players that came under a bit of stick. Dion Charles, mate, I want to talk about him because he was signed from Bolton, decent reputation, goal scorer in this league. There was the fanfare, him and Taylor doing the interview together when he came in, and it's just not happened for him, has it? He had that opportunity where he runs through one-on-one, trips over his own feet, and ball rolls away. I mean, he had 4 touches in the opposition box all half. but no shots on target. His XG was 0.03, which for a striker is pretty woeful. I mean, I'll caveat the service isn't great. But what do you think's going wrong, Steve, with him? Because he's a decent player, isn't he?
Yeah. I think there's a player there, definitely. He obviously scored a lot of goals for Bolton, didn't he? I just think he needs one, doesn't he? If he gets off at mark, I think he's probably trying too hard. It just not seems to stick to him, doesn't it? And that chance just summed him up, playing through 1-on-1, and the control it were abysmal, wasn't it? To be fair. I must have watched it back 3 or 4 times today, and loads of Town fans on X just absolutely hounding him for it. I don't know. I think he just needs the goal. If he gets a goal, I think everybody will be behind him. Because he's his own striker at the moment, isn't he? We ain't got no other option. So...
No, it's a sorry state of affairs, really. I mean, we did say that about Bojan, worryingly. If he gets a goal, he'll kick on. But at least... Dion Charles, he has scored goals. Maybe you're right. Yeah. And, if we compare him to Koroma, I dug a few stats out, and, Koroma's second half, his XG 0.26, so way higher. He only had 2 touches in the opposition box, but he scored a goal. Now, to me, does that mean Koroma is getting into better positions in the box? Whereas I think Dion Charles is pulling away, and he's not. You're right, maybe he's trying too hard, but he's not getting the right positions to score goals.
No, I think we're comparing him to Josh. I think Josh is just his quickness with his pace, and it gets him out of trouble quite quickly. Because I mean, even for his goal, the ball sort of went across him, didn't it? It went to his feet. It was a decent ball, don't get me wrong, but he managed to pull it back. You couldn't have seen Charles turn that into a goal, would you? He'd have carried on running wide with it. He wouldn't have had the decency to cut back in.
I can see why we signed him, though. Whenever I saw him play for Bolton, he were horrible. He were horrible, nasty. Shit that he used to score 1 or 2 deep. And he was a bit of a sniper. He was 10, 12 yard out, sticking it in. He's not going to pick the ball up and run 30 yards and smash it in.
Yeah.
Koroma, once Koroma got in front of that centre half, that ball would only go in one place, wouldn't it? Would only go, as you say, you get Charles in that position. Because the ball through ball from Marshall that first half was a lovely ball. And his first touch actually is a really good first touch. He just gets out of his feet far on the second touch, though. It's a fucking back pass.
Like he's plodding in treacle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Overthinking it before he has the shot. He obviously shit his pants and thinking I'm going to get my name on goal sheet finally here. And obviously he didn't, did he? And I think it's a brave decision by Duff to hook him at half time. Very brave.
It was the right decision ultimately.
Correct. Oh, yeah. Big time.
Dean Ball, hello. Up the town indeed, mate. Abe says, I really like Bolker, but I've no idea what he was doing for that goal. Yeah, me too, mate. He, the stats again on Bolker, he did really well most of the game. He had 5 duels, he won all of them. He's so composed on the ball, but he just backed off, did it? Backed off. It's like he was waiting for him to pass to someone. And Russell says, well, I'll just have a shot. And I were right behind it, and I don't know how Nichols doesn't say that. It just kind of slow motion, just
give him benefit of the doubt with Nick. But
still, it wasn't far away.
I agree. Yeah, it should get down to it. But I bet he were in shock though that his defenders had let him run 60 yards. I mean, it started from, like you said, in their own half. He walked past Latt, and then he went through midfield. He had Bolker at 6s and 7s going on backwards on his feet. It were abysmal, that goal. It just summed Town up for the first 20 minutes. I think they were 2 or 3 times. Tom Lees got turned around, like you said, bumping into Spencer. We were at 6s and 7s for the first 30 minutes. It were bad. And half a decent team would have put us to bed. It's just a good job Barnsley are a bit on their club's back, aren't they? They're not in cohesion, and they're a decent team there might have put us to sword. A bit like Northampton when we traiped down there, and they were up for it, crowd behind them. They took the chances.
A bit lucky, I think, because they didn't have Luke Connell playing, and they didn't have Phillips. So probably the 2 best midfielders weren't playing. So and then some of the lads that were on the bench, some Barnsley fans had never heard of them. Never mind bloody bringing them on to strengthen side. So I think we if Coddle and Phillips had been in that midfield, whether John Russell would have even started. But we know what he's about. We know he's an incredibly skillful player, but whatever he's going to do, he's going to do slowly. So absolutely unforgivable to let him to run. I mean, Duff said it were 80 yards, and I'm glad he doesn't measure carpets for a living if he thinks that's 80 yards. But that's never seen 80 yards. I think I agree with the 60, but he's gone way too far into without any sort of challenge.
If that's the Sunday League, if that's Killer Grange Moor Saints, he'd be absolutely pulling his hair out. You know, it's that poor a goal to give away.
Yeah.
Even Sunday League players would have got a strip in at half time. And to be honest, I was surprised he made a change, because we all know how stubborn Duff can be at times. But I mean, you could have changed fucking any one of 10. Back, you know, you could have changed literally any player in that team. So they were lucky it was only one, and he'll now be saying it's well. In fairness to him, it was the first time in a while I agreed with his post match. He didn't try and take any claim for the change as being a genius. He just pointed out they just did in second half what they fucking didn't do in first half. But Koroma turned the game, I thought, for Town.
Massive. Do you think that's a bit lucky though, because of his contract coming up, and all of a sudden he's been out of the team, and now he's got a chance?
The new Simon Baldry, is that what it is?
Baldry syndrome.
Yeah, it could be, couldn't it? It might just steer us all the way now to playoff glory.
Well, I thought he'd go. I thought he got picked off in January by a Championship club.
Yeah.
He's one of the few Championship players we've got. Is Koroma, and what's he scored? 6
on
7 goals. Yeah, but he's only scored 6 7. He scored 6 7 goals and hardly played.
He has been missing since Christmas.
Yeah, so imagine what he could do with a run.
Yeah,
he scores good goals, Koroma. The problem is he's hot and cold, but that's what you get at this level. So a game, one game he'll be absent, you won't even know he's playing, and then another he'll score a good goal and set another up, and that's what you get with players like Koroma, isn't it? But he's probably one of the most technically gifted players we've got in the team.
Yeah, and quick.
Yeah, better pace. But lads, the only other thing that stood out to me, particularly in that first half, was I'm not sure on Brodie Spencer, still in this position on left side, because they got in countless times down that side. O'Keefe and caused them all sorts of issues. And one thing I did notice with Chirira, when we had a chance to bomb forward, there was space down that left-hand side, and Chirira got the ball, and then you're expecting Spencer to run on the overlap, so to give him an option, and not once did he overlap. Yeah. Now, is that something Duff told him to be more rigid and keep back for fear of them getting in? I don't know, but to me, you've got to be, your wing-backs have to be bombing forward beyond you there, and all it led to a Chirira not having an option, having to cut in and more for not losing the ball. And I think Spencer, while I think he's really good in a right back position, I just don't think he's suited to there. And I think he's been a bit hung out to dry, really, with the position he's in. Now, I know we've got injuries, but Andy, I think to me, there's just a bit of a worry here that if we keep playing in this position, he's going to make some big errors, and he's going to be the next one to be singled out in here. And I don't really think it's his fault.
Yeah, I think he's got all the. I think he's a good centre half or right hand side of a back three, but he's not a left back. Certainly not in that situation. It's almost like we're playing three centre halves side by side, and then we've got what's his first one? Who was right back? Sorensen on the who doesn't want to be a defender anyway. So it was like we were playing 3-4-2-1 or whatever. So it just didn't work. We've got to find obviously Miller's missing, Ruskin's missing. You'd argue that we need Ruskin back sharpish, because I think Tom Lees has had one of the worst 2 games he's had for a long time in Town shirt. Last time out against Reading, I thought he didn't have a great game. It got easier for him second half, I think, because Barnsley lost all their creativity and we just penned them in. I don't think they got in our half for the first 20 minutes of the second half. So that made it much easier for him. But just the way that he got turned by that lad and the miscommunication with Spencer, that's the thing for me. I mean, I know we're not talking about Alec now. He's gone, but the failure to replace him with Pearson having gone. I know it's all right with hindsight, but Alec was our club captain and leading goal scorer last year, and we didn't think it was the right thing to replace him. But we got Tom Lees, who's what is he, 32, 33, and to me hasn't looked as in form as he has done for all season. So we've got a bit of a potential issue there for me. So, but I think Brodie Spencer could fill that gap when, I don't know when Lee's contract's up, but he's not a left back. So teams are going to, you stick a natural right winger that can go around the outside of them and get crosses in, we could be in a fair bit of bother. So I think it's Ruskin needs to get fit sharpish, because I'd move Spencer inside. I'd put Lees on the bench because I don't think he's been playing well enough, and then I'd change it that way. But yeah, that's my view on Brodie Spencer.
Or for Mikel Miller to be back, because I think with him we're a different side, aren't we?
He's on the grass. Apparently.
He's on the grass.
He's on the grass, Duff said.
Let's hope he's back soon. But Michael Bottomley, poor first half, did right booing at half time. Crap defending for Barnsley goal. And Feathers McGraw's on it, fed up of the booing. Constant booing. Now, there were a lot of boos, weren't there, at half time? There were a lot of angst in the stands, fans falling out with each other at times. It were weird. The whole atmosphere stunk of the side getting relegated rather than who's fifth in the league, but it were weird, wasn't it? But boos at half time, justified or not? Steve, what do you reckon, mate?
Bit of a tough one. Yes and no. I think the performance wasn't particularly fantastic, was it? I do think a lot of us Town fans, we jump on the team a bit quick, don't we? And give him a bit of grief. I mean, there were two lads in front of us that said we weren't coming back and left at half time. So there was some unrest in stands, but I don't really know. Well, it's tough, innit? Because they're trying. They're not down in tools. They were just at sixes and sevens, weren't they? Like you say, the back four, there were no leaders there, were they? Like Spencer bumping into Tom Lees. It's pretty embarrassing, really, at professional football, not knowing where you are. Bolker, is he just a Rolls Royce that you have as your centre halves, and he's not a leader? Sorensen didn't go past the halfway line in first half. It were a bit sketchy, and I suppose in a derby, when you on back at two performances that we've just had, you've got to go for it, haven't you? And I don't think we did. So maybe justified to a degree, but I don't think it does them any favours, does it? To be fair,
I don't think it helps. I'm not a booer. I just sit down.
Yeah, yeah.
But you can see happening. Particularly, but the beauty of the Barnsley away end is that you've got about 50 yards with the chance to give them absolutely every single word that you've got in your mind, because they're more they can't avoid you. So anybody who's got something to say is going to get down that end and feel, I've paid my brass, I'm justified to say what I want to say. That's the age-old dilemma, isn't it? Have you paid your money and that gives you the right to do that? Does it help? For me, no. Would I do it? No. Am I effing and jeffing about players in stands? Yeah, but
yeah.
I
mean, there were a few that ran across the bottom to hound them as they were going into the corner, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, lads, you 50-year-old bloke, you know.
You shouldn't have done that.
That was a step too far for me.
It's not 50. He's like 65.
60 then.
Yeah. Look, the problem you've got is that, you know, as you like to say, Steve, we've come off the back of a piss poor run.
Yeah.
You know, the quality was completely AWOL.
Atrocious.
We spent £6 million on players. You've got a chairman who's talking about second place, and we've performed like that, you know, and Duff's out as well. Everybody thought if we signed two strikers, we'd win every game 4-0. Well, no, but I thought we might have given fucking Northampton more of a game. And Barnsley at home were under the pressure they were under more of a game. So I don't know. I completely understand it. Whether I agree with it to a point, it doesn't really matter, does it? I can understand the frustration, and you know, I think, and we'll get on to the second half in a minute, I guess, and I can also understand the players giving it the fans back a bit. And you know what? I don't mind that. Fucking bring it on, because the more they're sticking it back to us, then we might likely win some more games. But you know, that first half was absolutely criminal. Yeah, exactly. That first half was criminal. You know, if they honestly expected to get clapped off after that, then I don't know what fucking world we live in, these players.
I think it's frustration because you know they can do better. That the players are better than that. That first half was turgid. Barnsley, with the greatest of respect to toilet, the fans like complete disarray. It's complete disarray down there.
Yeah. They were protesting, weren't they?
They were protesting against the owners. The players, like half of them are not heard of, sat on the bench. They've got injuries, terrible form. It's a perfect side to play against if you want to go away and get a result, really, in theory. And, over 4,500 fans travelled down to watch that. And then they see that first half, which is absolute garbage. They are going to get booed. I don't. Andy, you saw me in the stand. I was just staring into space after that first half, stunned after what I'd just seen. It was that bad. But I don't see the point. I think we talk about confidence a lot, but I think it's just the players know it ain't good enough. They know, and they'll be told in no uncertain terms in the dressing room that it ain't good enough.
Yeah.
They don't need some young kids at front and some older, bigger kids at front shouting and bawling and throwing toys out at pram. But at the end of the day, we all pay our money, don't we? We all, if people want to do that, they have the right to do it. It's their choice. What I will say is, booing players before they've even got on pitch is a no for me. And poor Freddie Ladapos. I mean, we are going to get onto the second half of the set, but I just want to touch on Freddie Ladapos because again, I just felt uncomfortable with it. There were jeers, mocking chants about him, and I don't think. I mean, the bloke he's trying his best. He got demoted to B team. He could have just downed tools and not been arsed like Russell did. He didn't. He scored some goals. He's made himself available, and he's not really worked out for him. But the bloke's trying his best. I think just get off his back and leave him to get on with it. I just felt it felt a bit cringe to me.
It's the sarcasm with him.
Yeah.
The singing of if Freddie scores, we're on the pitch. I mean, when I was sat at right side at goal, there were a group of young lads that, they were trying to sing it all the time, and it was just like, he's not even on the field. Freddie scores, we're on the pitch. What are you on about, kids? It's a bit rough on lad, in my opinion.
Yeah. Abe says, I hate the whole Freddie Ladapos thing. He's been poor for us, but no one can fault his work rate. And that's it. As fans, if someone tries the hardest, you can't ask any more than that. If it hasn't worked out, it hasn't worked out. But at least he's trying. He hasn't just down tools, has he? I mean, we have seen worse than that. But Adam Cottrell, no need for Ladapos mockery. Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. I think it's disgusting, really. But anyway,
his response is something I've never seen before in 50 odd years of watching football. He missed in the warm up. He scored a couple of goals by the time we got in there. And then he missed one. And I can't remember whether it was an ironic cheer or a boo or whatever it was. And then he's just like, throws his hands up and he's like looking at his mates. And he didn't take a single other shot in that warm-up drill. He just walked off and he was like, what the fuck's this? And I've never seen that before. And I just, were they helping with that? What's the point? What's the point? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I guess you paid your money. You clearly hasn't worked out for the fella, but like you say, he hasn't down tools. He's not just ambling around. He just seems to be wherever the ball isn't when he gets on the pitch. I don't know whether he's running the wrong runs or following the wrong patterns. You can definitely see when Marshall's pulling in onto the left-hand side of the opposition back three to receive the ball to lay it in there. He does that constantly. We never see Ladapos doing that. It's like he's been brought on just to harass the back four of the opposition, and they just do what professional players do and pass it around him. And the poor fella can't get anywhere near it because he's almost up on his own. When he's on, he appears to have nobody else up with him. I mean, Koroma was there, wasn't he? But he's not. Again, Koroma's not a hassler, so it's like Freddie's brought on to work his absolute socks off. And I don't know how many touches he had, 5, 6 in the game. Is he playing to the Duff's plan? I don't know.
Is the only option, innit? That's the downside, innit? I mean, we all laughed at the crisp packet. And Whopper, don't get me wrong. He's poor. I'm kind of glad he's gone. But we ain't got anybody else, have we? Danny Ward's injured. Joe Taylor's out. We haven't got another striking option on the bench, so he has to come on. There's no other option. So
yeah,
it's just
that comment from Adam at the bottom. I think he's going to give it. If he does manage to score, you imagine if he did manage to score in front of the cowshed, or even if he discors that far end, he'll be giving it full on Adebayor, sprint to the length of the pitch and he slide that to his own supporters. And
then get injured.
Nobody would blame him.
Then pull
for
an
doing
hamstring.
Yeah. More than likely, yeah, you're right. Yeah, nobody would blame him. Nobody would blame him at all. Yeah.
I mean, we don't create loads of chances anyway, do we? It's not like there's 3 or 4 people in box. We're flashing balls in left, right, and centre for someone like Ladapos to get on end off because that's his game. But we don't. You get next to no service at Town if you're a striker.
Well, apparently
you could have Ibrahimovic up there and he'd only score 4.
We've missed the most big chances, haven't we, or something? That's why
well,
Taylor
that's what
was throwing.
Some fucking anorak said that, but I don't know if they watch its team or what.
Is that Killer? Did Killer come
that's I don't know, mate, but I don't know. But I tell you, well, certainly in the last 10 games, I haven't seen us create many chances.
No,
true.
You know, it might be a chance, as in Ben Wiles has a shot from 30 yard out that trickles to keeper's hands. That's
That's funny.
But with that said, let's quickly go through that second half because Koroma comes on. Some might say maybe a foul in the build-up. One of their players, I say, maybe went down a little bit too easy. Humphries there, that free. But we break away. Sorensen breaks away. It's a great ball. Maybe very, very slightly past Koroma, and he does well because he has a bit of a sprint on to get onto that ball. I did think the defender was going to get there first for a point, but he gets to it, and then a nice, calm, composed finish past the keeper. It's a brilliant goal, considering he managed to miss from 3 yard, an header from 3 yard just prior to that.
Yeah,
it was a great move. It was a brilliant move, and just so not in keeping with the quality of the game as a whole, but. You're thinking, thank goodness we've got a goal. And yeah, really good composed finish, Steve, wasn't it?
I don't know whether it were the bollocking at half-time that Duff gave them or the boos that we put on them, but they came out a different Town side. I watched the highlights back again this morning, and within the first 10, 15 minutes, we could have had 3 or 4. They were Chihuahuas cut inside where he lifted one over, Marshall with a half a chance at the back post. We're a different Town side, wasn't it? They just came out at him and we put them to the sword, basically. We should have had at least 3 or 4 in first 10, 15 minutes. But Barnsley couldn't cope with us. I think we were stronger in tackle, quicker with the ball, better going down the lines. We're a different Town team, wasn't it? Like you said, it's a game of 2 halves, Jekyll and Hyde. Typical Town, whatever you want to call us. But that first 10, 15 minutes, it were amazing, wasn't it, to be fair, that they'd come out after such a dismal performance and then play like that. And like you said, Josh could have scored moments before he did with that free header that he probably should have done better out, probably kicking himself that he should have scored. And then he does that. We were just a much better team. First 10, 15 minutes, we blew them away.
And then Gaz, Killer will be knocking one out, won't he? Because not only does Koroma score, but Ben Wiles just puts a perler into the bottom corner.
He were texting me, the rocket. What about my mate Wiles here, Steve, with his rocket? I was like, you've got to pick them out, haven't you? Top bins.
To be honest, that was as bad for their keeper as Nichols' goal. He was fucking. He weren't. I thought the way we were the far side, it looked like he got it inside net.
Slow motion.
It's fucking shit goalkeeper. And I know Marshall probably does him with the dummy over, but I mean that Koroma goal. But it reminded me of the one he scored at Mansfield where he got played in behind, and once he got in behind,
got going.
He was never missing that goal. He was never missing that goal. But the header, it was really weird. It was like. He sort of almost tried to get out of the way at ball, didn't he? Like, I don't want to fucking head it.
Crouching down, wasn't he? Like,
it seemed, did it? Oh,
like you're only 5'4" anyway, mate. You don't have to crouch.
Yeah. But yeah, the Ben Wiles thing, I mean, it was just, you have to give Marshall a bit of credit, really, because that was cute. He jumped over the ball. He dummied it when he could have tried to take a clever touch and he didn't. And it ended up in the back of the net. But, I think the goalkeeper's going to be having a long, hard look at that and saying, perhaps I should have done better saving that. But I'll take it, mate. I've scraped all my shin celebrating it, so I was well happy when that second one went in. Well happy.
And then Oh, well, Andy, where the fuck did he get 7 minutes added time from, by the way?
I don't
Where
know.
did that come from?
He was garbage.
I
He
thought I
was
must
garbage.
have blacked out, mate. I must have passed out and missed a long injury or something because I was like, hey, everyone were like scratching their heads. Where's that come from? But at typical Town, when we have gone in front, we actually look all right. We look
controlled the
decent.
game,
We can
didn't
see
they?
controlled
Second
it.
half.
Yeah, exactly, Steve. And we are
Controlled it.
good at that. We are good at that, aren't we? Seeing a
very
game
much.
out. And
one kid's cut in and said had a shot straight into Nichols when maybe he could have done.
Yeah, last minute. Yeah,
from their left. I don't know it had been. But
I think
never
Barnsley were
felt
shell
like-
shocked.
They couldn't believe that
The
we'd
two
gone
quick-
from
the-
Jekyll
the
to
two
Hyde
quick goals.
that quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the two quick goals. The heads dropped. Then the crowd. We didn't hear out from Barnsley fans, did we? Nothing.
Nothing.
Not a peep. So
Mm.
they weren't behind them. The heads had dropped.
they look aside. They look at supporters who are pissed off,
Massively.
basically, with everything going on. Promised the world we're gonna push up to Championship and seeing Dross. So that sounds familiar. Seeing Dross.
I was going to say, you talking about Town again.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities, isn't there? But yeah, it were a disgruntled fan base, wasn't it? And I think they never looked like getting back in the game once we went ahead. In fairness, and you've got to give Town credit. We saw it out, professional away performance in the end, and it was so desperate need of that 3 points just to try and steady us because you've got the piranhas underneath biting at our ankles, haven't you? Leighton Orient picking points up left, right, and centre. Stockport keep winning. Bolton revived. We had to get a win, and they did it. So,
well, I think we were 8th at half time.
Yeah,
we were 1-0 down.
We're losing.
Yeah. So shows you how, like I say, shows you how important it is, Nick. Massive win.
Yeah.
I'd like to just give Marshall a shout personally. I know Chirara got man at match for his dancing and whatnot and his little nice flicks and touches, but I think Marshall, for a young lad coming in to play League One football, that lad runs his socks off week in, week out. Puts a right shift in.
He made number 6's life a misery. You know, after Koroma had scored, I don't know if you saw it, but number 6 went to get the ball, and as he bent down, Marshall ran behind and fucking shoved him 2 hands right into the net with the ball. I'm thinking, fucking, that's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Proper shithouse. So, but then he had another 2 or 3 run-ins with him, and he must be a nightmare to play against. Talk about Charles being like that, but
it's 110% effort every week.
Yeah, Marshall's
for a
brilliant.
young lad. It's. I felt a bit harsh for him when we dropped him, when we signed strikers.
Yeah,
and I thought there's no way that lad deserves dropping. He puts 110 in every game for us.
I think him and Taylor, when Taylor's back there, I think they could be a right handful for teams. The height thing might be a bit of an issue, but physicality wise and just persistence, tenacity, I think them two could be. And I tell you what, Marshall is good at is putting balls into the box without even having to look. He just whips a ball in early. I mean, it's a shame nobody's in the box like half the time, but he just whips it in without. And I still remember that Koroma goal at Bolton away, and what a good ball in. And he did it again. He put a good ball in again yesterday. They just need to anticipate that a bit more. Maybe like a Taylor, a bit more the poacher, and that could really pay off for us if he comes back. Adam says Chouira, Marshall, and Koroma front 3 Tuesday. Yeah, I could see that.
I'd be happy with that.
We'll talk about Shrewsbury later, lads. But let's get on to the Q&A session on Tuesday. Now, eagerly anticipated, of course, as these things always are. Didn't expect much. Premeditated, pre-planned, passive, scripted nonsense. But we've had it. It's a Q&A. Some clubs don't do that, so we have to appreciate them for that. But of course, the main talking point was the absence of a Mr. Mark Cartwright, who everyone expected to be there to front of the questions. I'm not really sure why he wasn't there. Some saying the club told him not to be. Some saying he was ill. I don't know if there's been any. I haven't seen any kind of official line on it other than he just wasn't there. Gaz, I'll come to you first, mate. What were your thoughts on it? Because I know you're a Cartwright fan, mate, but to me, it was a perfect opportunity for him in a safe environment to answer some questions. It looked a bad move if this was a move by the club for him not to be there.
Well, you say it was a Q&A, it was a fucking Q and no A, wasn't it? I mean, really, it was, as you said, the questions had been filtered. Poor Michael Duff was wheeled out because Cartwright was, quote, ill. Fucking outrang with him. The club have taken the decision not to put him in the firing line. It's flack they don't and grief they don't need. So yeah, they obviously took him out of the firing line. Poor Duff was thrown in. Duff looked like he did not want to be there. Michael Duff looked like he'd rather be anywhere else than in that room. He got most of the questions as a consequence because they were all aimed for Cartwright. David Archer got an absolute load of pelters afterwards. What was the fucking point of that? It was all scripted. Stephen Chicken then got some pelters by association to Hartrick.
By not being there.
What was the fucking point of that? So, I think it was like a lot of these things. I think whenever it's pre-submitted and scripted, then I don't really know what the point of it is because they're on an hiding to nothing, right? So, because the people like me who say, well, what's the point of it? Will go, well, what's the point of it? And him not showing up then more or less compounded that. I don't really get it. The way Dean used to do it, where he'd go and stand him, and Dean was a different kind of fellow, but Dean would go and stand in front of people and you can ask the questions, ask him, and he'd tell you what he could tell you, and he'd answer what he could answer, and sometimes he'd tell you more than he should, but at least you were getting it straight and honest. But they got 4 blokes squashed on a table being asked pre-scripted questions being sent in. So I watched about 10 minutes. I had to turn it off. I couldn't watch it. It was terrible.
Andy, did you enjoy it?
I echo all of Gaz's views. I think the intention's good, but they're absolutely on hiding for nothing because people with their own agenda will always assume that their question wasn't picked because it was the controversial one or it was going to get an answer that the club didn't want to give. They're always going to look after the image and the reputation of the club because if that's the thing that Paul Reeves is selling, you're not going to get into a situation where we come out and we say things that are going to undermine members of staff. They're never going to do that. What organisation would do that? And while we're a product that Reeves and the rest of his team are trying to sell, then and rightly so, then they're not going to handle the potentially controversial topics of. I think Cartwright gets a lot of flack for. Some of his signings haven't been great, but others he can't help people legs bloody falling off and what have you when they've run for a minute like Longwick. That's not his responsibility. So I think it was what it was. I think the intention's good. Although I prefer the Nagel Carmichael Dave ones purely because they're not the corporate ones that the club put out. But if they don't do them, they'll get slaughtered. If they do them, do it, but not like that. We don't want it like that. Well, you've got to recognise that it's a business at the end of the day, and they're going to do things in a professional corporate way. So it is what it is. If they'd have announced the stadium being sold, then maybe that might be a bit more different. But they've been telling us we're 6 weeks away from buying the stadium for about, it feels like, ever since Nagel walked through the door. So that's just shut up about that. They can present that to us.
You say they want to do it in a corporate, professional way, and then the main protagonist didn't fucking turn up. How unprofessional is that?
Well, I had seen him on school run, so it might be poorly.
Right. But what's he going to do? He's going to justify his own signings. He's not deliberately doing things wrong for me. So what do we want to know?
He'll be at cricket club in summer, so me and Big Abe will have a word with him.
Down Onley, he'll be an Onley, won't he?
Yeah. I see him all the time on school run. He's always on the phone, pretending.
Right.
So
I just don't.
Yeah, abuse. Yeah. Right, man.
You can do it all.
Yeah.
I think it's a well-intentioned thing that just it never delivers what everybody And I think it's just a part of corporate life. They're never going to tell you the juicy stuff. They're never going to tell you the things that you really want to know, because they've got a brand to manage. They've got an image to manage. And that's always going to be such for me.
Steve, I was trying to pick some things out of it, and I was struggling really much constructive. Two things stood out to me. One was Jake Edwards was asking about the injury issue. He kind of hinted that some of this was stretching back to when they weren't necessarily prepared properly, which I took that to mean when Warnock was still here, which I found that incredible that they can find some kind of link to Warnock's pre-season now when half the squad wasn't there and we're still getting injuries. Which seemed to me, I don't know, mate. I mean, this injury situation is mental, really. I don't know if we're on injury number 28, 29. Evans' toes fucked again, so we're probably on injury number 29. Do you think anyone's to blame for this, or do you think it's just a case of bad luck? Because we've had mixture of muscular and freak injuries, haven't we? We've talked about this before, but I'd be interested with your views on it, Steve. What's happening?
Well, nobody knows, do we? I mean, in that Q&A, it did come up, didn't it, with Jake? And they were saying about injury players and technical staff and all that going behind the scenes. And there's two different types. There's a type of team to get a player fit, and then a type of team to make sure that he's not on an hospital bed. And it's like, well, surely between the lot of you, that injury record is appalling, isn't it? There's something going on, but we're never going to know about it. Are we? The truth of it, we're never going to get to the bottom of it. It is poor, but at the end of the day, if a player's injured, he's injured.
They said there was an issue, didn't they, with communication? Sorry, Steve, for jumping in, but I seem to remember I probably nodded off the rest of it, but in that conference, but they seemed to suggesting that they weren't so the loads that the different players should have been experiencing were not being communicated.
Yeah, between the two sets of medical staff.
So I think that Andy can run for 5 hours this week, but actually we were running him for 7 hours this week.
Yeah.
So no wonder Andy's leg fell off. But
yeah.
if that's really what's happening.
I'm not having you can run 5 hours in a week. I'm not having you can run 5 hours in a week.
Hey, I've run 5 hours in one go, mate.
Twice,
2 marathons. How will you ever know if somebody's run a marathon? Don't you worry, because they will tell you. And I've just told you.
Do you think part of it's these stupid protocols we have now that pussyfooting around? You know, back in the day, you asked the player if they could play.
Yeah.
You didn't look at a spreadsheet, did they? We know Warnock came in with Ward. Danny Ward were out for weeks, and he just said, do you think you can play? Oh, yeah, I can. Right, you're playing. And that right. They were playing on Saturday. And do you think that part of it is with all these strict protocols that, oh, no, he's only done this, so therefore he can only run for 20 minutes. He can only play for 40 minutes, so then you've got to take him off it. Instead of actually sitting the player down and asking them, well, when you feel like you've had enough, then you come off. Do you think we're overcomplicating things now in modern football, whereas really we should just be listening to what the players are saying?
100%. I think it's there was lots of hints at what may or may not have gone wrong, but what was missing from all of that information was any fucking names. So they're talking about all these people who've miscommunicated with each other, people that have and people that haven't, people that should and people that shouldn't. Well, who are these people? You know, how have they been held accountable? I know they fired somebody, but you know, but I'm with you. I don't want to sound like my fucking dad, but you know, we never had thigh strains, groin strains. 20 years ago, you know, if you had an hamstring, unless you'd torn the fucking thing, you were playing next week. You know, he's got like a small medial tear that'll be 4 to 6 weeks. What? It's frustrating. They're expensive assets on big wages, so they expect to be treated like that, don't they? Now, I guess footballers, especially to come through the academy route, because if they come through any kind of professional academy, they'll have been babysat and massaged and cold baths and doctors and therapists, and you know they're used to that kind of support and network. I guess now maybe it's just different, but yeah, you know, when you're in a position like ours where you've got to find wins from somewhere, having double figures of players unavailable is a challenge, and you know that's why I think Duff probably, although he gets some flack, he's probably doing his best. He's doing his best to cobble together a team. He'll do as he's asking him, you know, without all being injured again. because both Chirua and Kasumu cramped up during the game. I mean, how's that possible?
But they're saying
they've not played 120 minutes, have they? They haven't played since last Saturday.
But in that meeting, they did mention the recruitment plan, and I thought Duff did pretty well to cover for Cartwright, to be honest. Thought he answered the questions as honestly and bluntly as he could without giving too much away. But they were on about the recruitment plan and that they interview the players, they go with the site, all this about the play. He even mentioned turning down players because he didn't think they were right for the club. I mean, he were banging on about Jay Rodriguez because he were wrong end of his career and he played with him, blah, blah, blah. So they must know what they're doing. But why are we ending up with the situations? Yeah, Dross as well as why are we ended up in this situation? If they're doing the proper scouting on these players and turning players down, apparently, why are we ending up with players like Taylor? Were he injured when we signed him? Did he know? What on earth has gone on there when we've paid so much money for him? We've chased him for 6 months.
1,000,000% he'll have been injured when we signed him.
Yeah,
obviously. I'm certain of it. I'm certain of it.
Because he got dragged off, didn't he, in his first 2 games?
Yeah.
He was subbed off. So they must have known something. So they're not relaying it. Just tell us the truth, to be honest, innit? It's like you don't really want to listen to all the BS that they were coming out. I mean, and from that Q&A that I found that I was more annoyed about, that half of the screen were blocked up with merchandise and what they were trying to sell and throwing that down your neck. And then telling us basically everything that we knew. The PA system's knackered. We're trying to help your local youth and clubs to try and get young members to come in and be happy to come and watch town week in, week out. Breaching out to the community. Fair enough. But I don't really need to know that the kit's on sale for 30% off this week at Side. In my view, anyway. We're just a lot of it rammed down your throat.
Mr. Reeves, I thought, spoke reasonably well. And they did talk a lot about revenue and the need to increase revenue because of the way that the regulations affect the spending, and it goes down to, is it 30% next year if we don't go up? So they talked about the season tickets. The prices are going to go up. That's inevitable, regardless of what division we're in. They talked about a bit of a loyalty scheme to reward people that have had tickets before. So you'd expect a bit of a tiered system there. Whether they'll do it, depend on what stand you're in as well. I'm not sure. And then talked about different things, different ideas that they can improve the match day experience that we keep hearing about. I mean, basically, if you have a good product on the pitch, people come and watch. It's all right saying we'll get kids in, but if we're utter dog shit, no one's going to want to come and watch us. But one thing I picked out about the Wi-Fi and the fact that I thought it was interesting because all these initiatives, they talk about, the sound system but ordering things from your seat and what have you. But then when asked about the Wi-Fi, they said, well, yeah, but it costs money. I think about 500 grand, they said, and we have to prioritize and we don't put it in. But everything kind of feeds off that. Like if you have good Wi-Fi, then you can do these initiatives where you get order things from your seat and then you can buy more food and drink, and then you can afford to spend more money of it. So if it's things like that, I don't get why they don't just spend it and do it. Like, it's all right, keep going on about it. But if we need to generate more revenue, they need to just get on and do it, I think. But ultimately,
it's probably 500 grand in medical bay. That's why they need it for injuries.
But we can only sell a certain amount of merchandise. We're quite limited, really, in especially in League One. So the more ways we can actually spend money in ground for them, the better. And it all links. I mean, with no Wi-Fi, sound system's absolutely abysmal. So these things need to be fixed. So they're going to have to. I mean, I feel harsh saying you've got to spend even more money because I know he's spending money, but these things need sorting. But ultimately, if we shit on the pitch, no one's going to care, are they? That's what it all boils down to. it'd be great having a match day experience where you had pre-match entertainments, you had amazing half-time stuff going on, and maybe even a bit of post-match interviews and stuff like they're doing rugby, stuff to keep people in and around. And it's great having H-Town and all these stuff going on. But if we're playing awful football and it's boring and we're not winning, people are just going to be miserable and not bother going. So they need to fix that before anything else, I would suggest.
They might be. I mean, they might be waiting until they take over control, because them capital investments are lumpy. Because they won't just benefit the football club. You put decent Wi-Fi in there, you do something properly with the bathrooms, put in a proper ability to serve food and beer. Then, you know, when the next concert comes around, it's a much more attractive venue for the promoters because it's modern, it works. You know, I've bored you before with it. You know, I went to watch Nashville Predators ice hockey in Nashville. You had a QR code at the back of your seat. Wi-Fi was fucking instant fast. I ordered 2 beers. 2 minutes later, a bloke turns up. 2 beers. I never left my seat. I know you can't have beer in the ground, but the point stands, doesn't it? You know, the ability to, so, you know, instead of having a beer at the beginning and a beer at the end, I managed to have 2 in the middle. So I spent another $40, and that's how they generate revenue. As you say, Steve, not selling it. You know, once I bought a shirt, Don't matter if the 30% off, I've got one. I don't need another. Yeah. You know, the recurring revenue is food, drink, and match day stuff. And that's what they seem to be, for me, they seem to be missing. And maybe it is that they've got to wait till they take control of the stadium. Putting any kind of money in that stadium while they don't own it is probably madness.
It is, isn't it?
I do get that. But they need to really, you know, they keep whispering about, we're definitely going to take it over. We've got big plans. Well, tell us what they are. And if you want to really get us excited about it, tell us what they are then. Yeah. Tell us what you're going to do. Because if they're going to take it over and then just try and eke that PA system out for 4 years because they can't afford to fix it, can do matter if they order it or not then, does it? Makes absolutely no difference to us.
Everything's connected though, Gaz. The sound connected to all the entertainments, the Wi-Fi's connected to all the ordering, everything. I mean, they're saying they want it to be the big conference venue. But if you haven't got fucking Wi-Fi, no one's going there, mate.
No.
I mean, I disagreed when they said about the parking. Oh, it's got decent parking for a stadium. No, it hasn't. You can't park anywhere near. It's like Fort Knox getting into that car park. Got to have been on a waiting list 20 years before you get a permit to go in it.
And you'll never get out.
And you never get out. It needs a big car park there for a start. No one's going to go to a conference venue outside of the town where you've got to walk half an hour, 40 minutes with no parking. It's all right if it's in a city centre with good transport links. You don't need parking then, but this isn't. So there's so many things that they're going to have to sort out. It's a big area. I think he talked about the size of it, and I do wonder if there might be some retail development opportunity, some industrial, some residential, maybe in future in and around it. I don't know. I'm sure we've got some big plans. Talked about the hotel and what have you, but there's a lot of work to be done. But I just think these things, I mean, they're obviously planning them now. I'm just hoping you're right, guys. When they take control, if they take control, then that'll be the kickoff, and we can start seeing some of these changes.
Well, it's about upgrading the experience as well, isn't it? I went to that business club launch. I don't know, it was about 3 weeks ago, maybe coming up 4 weeks ago. And they announced things like the conferencing is the major thing. They just pumped generate more income, more conference. Michael Bottomley, second to last comment there. So they're already talking to the 4 major promoters to get more bands playing down there and make it a venue where people go to and will spend money. They're looking at enhancing the. I didn't realise this, but there's a whole floor of the John Smiths that is completely disused. So you've got the brown room, as they call it, so where the White Rose Club is, they've got that room up there, and then they've got another one underneath that is completely disused. So there's plans for upgrades of that area. Like, I don't know about replicating H-Town in that area, but a similar sort of thing, upgrading the boxes. And obviously this is all going to cost. If you're going to pay for your upgraded match day experience, you're going to have to pay a bit more money for that. And it's like Gaz says about the opportunity to spend more money in the stadium. They have to make that easier. There's going to be the hotel. There's going to be a conferencing centre. The thing that made me chuckle a little bit was the idea that they're going to turn the golf driving range into a music theatre
to compete with Peace Hall in Halifax.
To compete with the Peace Hall in Halifax. So I'm sorry, but that feels a little bit like the old ski lift thing that we had.
Correct.
HD1 back in the day. I just can't see an amphitheatre there. But you never
Then
know.
again.
You never know.
Where are they
I
going to
don't
park
know.
for that?
Bring back the cable cars going into the town centre idea,
Centre,
I
yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Problem is as
Monorail.
well, like the stadium, it ain't practical, is it? It's a nice design, but Riverside stand, you go in there, it's a rabbit warren in there. So you get everyone pre-ordering drinks going down. There's no to stand and drink them because it's tiny. It's tiny in there. You saw it if you have a big concourse where everyone could stand and wait and you could pre-pull your pints and then people just all go in and queue at start. But it's a big problem. It's a big problem. It wasn't built for practicality. I don't think whoever designed it. It was built for style.
It's 30 years old as well, Nick. I mean, that's the other thing you have to remember. If you go and buy an house that's 30 years old now and then compare it to new build today, that you have open plan kitchens and big bifold. A 1993 house doesn't have any of that, does it? It has a separate dining room. And it's the same analogy, really. And the house that it was built at the time, it was absolutely state of the art. The issue, obviously, is the construction doesn't give you, when it's built into the hillside like that on the Kilner Bank, where do you go? You can't bury it, you can't open it up out the back and let people, there's no room, is there? Where do you go? I have to find a solution, though, mate. You're right.
Yeah.
I just found personally everything that they said is basically what they said to us 6 months ago, 12 months ago, and we're still in the same boat, aren't we? We still don't own stadium.
Except we're in
We
League
still don't
One.
have a PA.
Yeah, with
Well,
12
yeah,
months
yeah,
on, it's a really lower division state.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that changed. We got relegated.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah,
3-year plan, mate. 3-year.
Yeah.
Don't forget the 3-year plan.
We're going to do an Ipswich, kid. We're going to do an Ipswich.
Yeah, up and up.
I don't fault their ambition, and look, I'm not going to slate them for trying to do something to communicate with the fans. I'd much prefer that than silence, like you get at some clubs. I really like the
Like
Nagel
Barnsley.
and Carmichael, Dave diaries, and yeah, exactly. But I think if you're going to do a Q&A, do a Q&A. Just do it down at H-Town live. Like, what they're afraid of. I mean, you might get the odd knob shouting, "Oh, why are you still here, Cartwright, you dickhead?" Like, idiot. But you just get rid of them. Do you know what I mean? Like most. But yeah, you get Killer can get kicked out. But once you get rid of him and some others, I think most town fans are quite sensible and they will ask probing, good questions. And if you're going to do a Q&A, do a Q&A, not some pre-prepared, filtered questions that are then presented to them a week earlier. Answers prepared, filtered, and then discussed in an empty room, basically, or next empty room. It's pointless. It is. You might as well have just released a statement addressing them. It offered nothing, really. I mean, it annoyed me they only had one mic and all passing round. You have to wait like 20 seconds before you could hear anyone.
Well, like one of them shit karaoke's where too you get up to sing and they've only got one mic and you've got to pass it backwards and forwards when you're doing "Don't Go Breaking My Heart."
But yeah, I mean, yeah. So Shrewsbury on Tuesday, lads. The excitement never ends.
Got me tickets.
Got your tickets. I haven't.
5-hour trip.
But it's. I mean, look, it's another one. Keep saying this. On paper, we should win these. They're down near bottom, struggling. Ainsworth taking over. They're not in great form.
Hit and miss, aren't they?
Only, I
think they've won 2, lost 2, drawn 1 in the last 5.
Yeah. Well, they lost 3, won 2, drawn 1 out of 6. It's not great. Yeah. It's not great form. So we've got to go and beat them. We have to. But you just know, don't you? You just know that we'll probably go and concede early, and then they'll just sit back. And it'll be up to us to break them down. But this is what teams do, isn't it?
Well.
Oh, is it?
It's my birthday.
Oh, my word.
The ripe age of 39, and I'm having a long trip with my son down to Shrewsbury.
3-0 defeat at Shrewsbury. Happy birthday.
Don't ruin it for me.
We've got to win. We've got to win, haven't we? I mean,
we should be doing, really. They're inconsistent. They're in bottom 4, aren't they? We've got to be. We've got to be going there with the same attitude that second half. Going out with Koroma and all them. Pace up front. Let's go for juggler straight away. Just go for kill.
Guys, are you making any changes for this? Do you think Koroma starts after that?
Well, I think he has to, doesn't he? I mean, as I say, I thought he turned the game for us. I think he was the man that turned the game. I think it'll be exactly the same team, but Koroma for Charles, I can't see him change it. It depends. When you look at the bench, there ain't much shit. It makes it up with really easy. So I think what you see is what you're going to get. 3 out of the next 4 are away from home. You got Shrewsbury away, Wigan away, week of Tuesday, and then Stevenage away. 3 teams that are not exactly setting the world alight. I think we're better away from home than we are at home. Even after Northampton, I think we're better away from home than we are at home. And then the sandwich in between that, you've got 20th place Peterborough, who they were one of the ones we had for being in and around the playoffs, didn't we? When we started the season, so you're playing 22nd, 20th, 18th, and 12th in the next 4 games. If
all must wins.
Honestly, if there was a time to take 9 or 10 points out of 4 games, this is absolutely it. The real, and I think, I was after the game, Duff got them all in a circle. I don't know if he clocked that. He got him into a group in the middle of the pitch and had a word with them all. And I'm hoping, from what he comes across as a fairly honest bloke. So I'm fairly sure what he said in his press interview afterwards will be what he said to him on the pitch, which is, look what happens when you just do as you're fucking told. Just look what happens when you do what you should. No, but if I had been him, that's what I'd have been saying. We set up, told you what to do. You didn't do it one half, and you did it the other half. Look at the difference. Look at the difference in the reaction of the fans. Look at the difference of and they'll all have been buzzing, won't they? Coming from behind for the first time and showing a bit of cap. They were all buzzing. So they've got to take that into the next game.
But he did say that it wasn't technical, wasn't it? It was just better decisions from players. He said he didn't say, "Oh, yeah."
No, honestly, we gave the ball away so many
decisions,
times in that first 15 minutes, and it was just better decisions, and we won more 50-50s. That was the other thing, because we were playing 5 or 10 yards further up. So in the first half, every time a centre half knocked it down, they played it to that number 50. Was it Nwankwe or whatever, isn't it? I was really impressed with him, by the way. I thought he was great on the day.
Careful that case.
Nwakali. That's his name, isn't it? But but in the second half, he didn't pick one up, because every time a ball dropped into that centre midfield, Kane or Kasuma were on it first.
We're on him.
So, I do think it'll make. I think it'll make a difference. I think when Koroma plays, what he does do is he does stretch other teams back forward.
Yeah,
Marshall and Charles just played in front of their back 3, and it was a piece of piss for them. They were shit scared of Koroma, and that's where the second, because one of the centre halves dropped really deep, which meant he was onside when Sorensen played the ball. So I think it'll be the same lineup by Koroma for Charles. I honestly think we've got to take 10 out of the next. And if we do that, then playoffs are back on being nailed on.
Well, they're back on for top 2, aren't they, to be fair? You win your 2 games.
We've got and then the game after that is Wrexham at home. So we've still got Wrexham and Wycombe to come to ours. But I think talking about second place feels like pie in the fucking sky right now.
It is, but I'm not trying to get giddy. But if you win these games...
It sounds like
Well, not that giving us that.
We haven't played Shrewsbury yet.
When I'm not here, when I'm commenting, I'm a miserable bugger like Nick. But now that I'm on it, I'm looking positive. I just think that if we play like we did against Barnsley in that second half, I think we'll kill them bottom 4 teams.
That's the problem. We just don't do it. We just don't produce it consistently, mate. Do it. That's the problem.
The worry is, though, isn't it? You lads that are going need to be checking your boots, because we've only got 14 players, according to Duff in his post-match conference. So I don't know who else's legs have fallen off, but they've only got 14 and 15 fit players. So
there's no point debating who's starting, because we know, don't we? Yeah. There's nobody left, really, is there?
Yeah.
I'm not miserable, Steve. I'm just. We've seen Town too many times, haven't we? We've seen them too many times.
I agree, but I do think if you look at the table and we win them games, then we are back in the mix.
We are in the mix. We are, but I just.
Because I mean, like you said, at half time we were out at playoffs. So I think if we win them games and we're a bit of positivity, play like that, we've got to be beating Shrewsbury, haven't we? Surely.
We have, but we said that
Wigan,
against Southampton.
We've got to be beating them as well.
Teams like Wigan, teams like Shrewsbury. Yeah, that's it.
We've got to be beating them.
Far beyond it to me, to quote Matt from Takes That Chance, but he put a tweet on saying, I wonder if this is a bit of a sliding doors moment. And if we go and take 10 out of the next 4 games, you might be right. It genuinely, that that second half could be the catalyst that team needs to just fucking believe again. And honestly, I think the fans' reaction to them in the second half, I thought was great, because we could have, even after they scored equalised, we could have all sat there with arms folded saying, "Well, that's the fucking least I expect."
Yeah,
I thought the
a
fans
draw
were
is
great.
good enough. Yeah,
honestly. Dave says you're normally a miserable bugger, Steve.
Yeah,
I am. I am. I'm just the same as Nick. Tag it. I do. I always think the worst of us, but at the moment, I think to play like that second half, I think there's no reason why we can't go and beat Shrewsbury. They're hit and miss. Wigan, we've got to go there. They're not special.
Yeah.
None of these teams are out special, really. I would say, apart from Birmingham, who look decent.
If they play like that as they did in second half, there's no reason why they can't go on and beat teams. It's
John's
just getting.
John Pearson's put a good point here about Spencer. He's absolutely right. Absolutely right. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, he's out in here.
I mean, who's playing there? I've no. It'd be Russell, wouldn't it? Ruffles.
Yeah.
I think. Look, I'm not knocking the positivity, Steve. I think you're right. We should be winning all of them. We should be. But you look at the injuries and the form we've been in. But who knows? Because the last time we played Barnsley, we went on this run, didn't we? After a win, but when you start getting players back, you've only to get a Ruskin or Miller back, then suddenly Taylor's back.
Taylor, yeah, exactly.
Longvite comes back in defensively, start looking a bit more solid, and suddenly you come into form at the right time towards the end of the season. And Wrexham play Leyton Orient Tuesday night. That's a bit of a tasty game, a big one. So could potentially drop points. I don't know. Maybe a few more wins. We could be back within 4 or 5 points at top 2 again. But it's going to take 5-6 wins in a row to reel them back, because they don't lose many. That's a problem. And it's not just one team. It's 3 or 4 now.
But we did pull it back when we went on that 16-match unbeaten run, didn't we? We did pull them back in. We did draw and scrape through games and win games that we probably shouldn't have done. So why, in my eyes, we've just got to do it again.
Yeah. Am I right in thinking that we haven't lost to any of the teams that we've got left to play? The 15 we've got left to play in the previous results in the season, we haven't lost to any of them.
Possibly.
So what would happen if we just replicated our results from last time, like a draw with Wrexham, maybe good enough now, but beat Wycombe at home?
We're getting promoted then.
If we did what we'd done in the previous games, we actually turn in a couple of 90-minute performances, who knows?
Just put a bit of realism on it. Just put a bit of realism on it, by the way. Over the last 6 games, we're 18th in the form table. So before we all start overhauling Wycombe, I think we just need 3 points on Tuesday night.
We're 2 undefeated though now.
Yeah,
we're back on the roll.
A performance would be great, Steve, but I just want 3 points. I just want a win from somewhere.
I'll take an own goal. I'm not bothered how we win. I just think if we play like they did, with a bit of going forward, quicker passing, getting on them quicker. Kasumu's a big lift to come back in that midfield with legs.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, Hoggy is Hoggy, and he puts a bit of passion in, and it does give us that. But Kasumu's legs is a different breed. So hopefully, if he stays fit and we keep on the press, and we can string 45 minutes like that into 90, then we should be beating teams like Shrewsbury and Wigan and stuff. We should be going there and doing them. And we're better away anyway, apart from Northampton, which is where I met you, Andy, which were horrific.
Oh, meeting Andy were horrific.
What, meeting Andy? Yeah.
Hang on. I've got both of you. Nick blanked me at bloody Barnsley, and you pushed in at Chuffing Northampton.
I did push in. The man the bloke said, just go to the front at Q. He said, you can go to the front. That's what he said to me, not my words.
I like the positivity. Let's go with that, Steve.
Let's try and have a bit of it.
We're 8
I'm
points
very negative
off.
normal, but
we're 8 points off. Stockport worry me because their form's brilliant, and Charlton, they're coming up strong as well. And that something just tells me if King Wrexham will get second. Something about them this season where they just keep getting these wins, and I just think sometimes it's kind of like when we went up under Wagner. It just seems like one of them seasons where they're just going to get second, I think. But we just need to get on. We need to get on a run, and hopefully this has given us a little bit of confidence now to say, actually, if we do go goal down, we can come back and get the win. So we'll see, guys. But we're going to leave it there. I think let's finish. Let's get predictions. Go on. Let's get some predictions before. I'll kick us off. I think it'll be 1-1. I think we'll draw. Having said all that, I'm going to be. Steve says I'm a miserable bastard, so I'm gonna prove him correct, and I might as well just play to the role and say I don't think we'll lose, but I think it's tougher than it looks on paper, and they'll just put everyone behind ball. They'll put everyone behind ball and say, "Come and break us down," and those are exactly the teams that we struggle against. Gaz?
Well, they scored 2 on Saturday against Bolton at home, lost 3-2 in the end. So they are scoring goals, Shrewsbury, but they're letting plenty in. So I think in typical Town fact, I think if we go in front first, I think we'll be all right. I think if we score first, I think it'll be a 2-0. And I think if they score first, it's going to be an uphill battle, and it could be another Northampton, sadly. But I'm going to go for a 2-1 Town. Oh, same as Adam. Just like Adam. Big Freddy's going to score.
I'm 2-1. Yeah, that's what I'm. So I'm forecasting 2-1. Dion Charles and Freddie Ladapos both stood in front of the wing, giving it that as they walk off at the end, having secured the 3 points for a magnificent.
Giving it full on Ben Wiles.
Is it 0-0 at 80 minutes before we bring them 2 on?
Oh, bring them both on. Yeah, bring them both on.
80 minutes.
80 minutes.
Yeah. And then they do the job.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's got to be a 3-1 win. I think positivity kicking in. My birthday as well. We've got to win on my birthday, or else I'll be gutted.
Oh, you see, that's it.
Yeah.
They don't win on
Positivity.
Well, actually, that's the most surprising thing I've heard from you, Steve, since you said you were 39.
I know. I do look very old. I work outside, Gaz.
Is that what it is? Is it the weather?
I'm very weathered, yeah. Very weathered as a roofer.
Right, know what you look like if you worked outside, guys.
Yeah.
That's why I look so young, you see. I'm 45, but because I work from home, you know, it's just these boyish good look, isn't it?
Eating on at 20 degrees.
You what, Cass?
You worked in public sector for 30 years. What's wrong with your fringe, Nick?
What's up with it? I've had a special haircut for tonight.
Your last cut it with wallpaper scissors. What on earth is it?
What? I can't even see it on here, guys. My picture's too small. So I ain't got the usual. I ain't got any product.
No, Jill, you need to put some product in, mate.
I need to get some product.
You've already made
it. They pushed it up.
Products. Listen, look at you when you have product in your hair, kid.
They'll probably go to my hair. He's not trying to stop it disappearing. I'm not like Steve where it's going.
Mine disappeared at 21.
There you go.
Bad jeans.
After 60th, look.
Well, happy birthday for Tuesday, Steve.
Yeah,
let's hope that we can bring on the 3 points. But I'm going to check all this positivity. It's rubbing off on us. I'm going to change it to 1-0 off Freddie's arse cheek in 89th minute, and let's keep this rolling.
Yeah.
The last time I've predicted wins, we've lost. So I was just trying to change things. But come on, we've got to be positive. Let's get the win. And then Peterborough at home, we can win that as well, can't we? And start climbing up that. Get these playoffs secured first of all, and then let's think about top 2 and assault on the top 2.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you so much for your comments. We've had loads in tonight. Thank you for supporting us. Like I said before, if you'd be so kind, give us a follow, give us a subscribe. Follow us on X. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify. If you want to come on the show like Steve's done, just drop DM us on X and we'll sort you out. But no, thank you as always. Thank you to Gaz, Andy, and Steve for joining us tonight. And let's hope after Shrewsbury we'll be doing a pod positive after another 3 points. See you all soon. Take care. Up the town.
Up the town.
Up the town.